Welcome to another episode of Business Perfect Formula. I'm your host, Sarah Weldon. My goal when I launched this podcast was to help entrepreneurs. Yes, we talk about demystifying the world of alternative funding, but I also wanted to make sure to give entrepreneurs additional tools for their tool belts and resources to be successful no matter where they were in the industry or on their journey. Yet the one tool we have not discussed is mental health and the burnout that can occur if you do not take care of yourself. This topic is going to be personal for me. I'm also going to be taking our guests' advice and expertise to heart because I will admit there have been many times that I felt very close to burning out. I focus so much on building my business, but I forget to build myself, to take care of my own needs beyond the business. I'm wondering if you find yourself doing this as well. Today, we have a truly special guest, Kendra Kessel, a wellness and relaxation specialist who has dedicated her life to improving the health and well-being of others. For over 2 decades, Kendra has been a guiding light for thousands of people, helping them overcome chronic stress, anxiety, and various health challenges. Her innovative methods and customized coaching programs have transformed lives, creating a sense of calmness, relaxation, and deep fulfillment. But Kendra's passion for creativity and thinking outside the box doesn't just stop at wellness. She is also an acclaimed singer, songwriter, author, game creator, and an award-winning innovator. Her artistic skills are not just personal achievements, but are integral to her approach to enriching the lives of people of all ages. Join us today as we explore Kendra's unique journey, her creative methods for wellness, and how she combines her artistic talents with her passion for helping others. This episode promises to be enlightening and full of insights you won't want to miss. Let's welcome Kendra to the show. Thank you, Kendra, for joining us today.
For having me, Sarah. It's awesome to be here with you, and I feel honored.
I so appreciate it. Today, I've been looking forward to this episode ever since you agreed to it, just because this is definitely an arena that we have not dove into yet, but I feel like it's just so valuable. So thank you.
Oh, thank you as well. I'm excited to talk with you, and hopefully your listeners can gain some valuable information and just resources that they can use for their daily life and work life as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And before we dive into that, I know I covered a little bit there in your bio, but I'd love to hear directly from you. You've definitely kind of forged your own path and gone into such a unique area of expertise. What brought you here? How did you come along into this amazing area?
Thanks for asking. When I was in high school, I knew I wanted to get into health and wellness. It was just a passion of mine. I was in sports. And so for college, I got my degree in physical education, thinking I wanted to be a physical education teacher. And I got my degree. And while I was in college, I was fitness supervisor at the University of Arizona weight room. And so that was the job that I had since I was 18, and just working with people with health and fitness just was part of what I loved. And after graduating and teaching for a very short time, I realized that I could be more helpful outside of the classroom, creating things and working on bigger programs and products and just different ways that I could help children and adults. And so I got my personal training certifications, my health coach certs, and I think I have like 6 others. I love learning. I love educating myself. And so just because I enjoy it, I continue getting not degrees, certifications and licenses in the health and wellness field. And so I was doing that full-time, health and wellness, personal training. And I also love music and creativity. And so I was living in Los Angeles after college, and most of my time was spent on my health and wellness business, but then I was doing music just because it filled my heart and soul. And I was a recording artist and songwriter, and did some other things in the entertainment industry out there just because it just filled me up. And it actually made me better at my business. And so during the past, I would say 20 years, I've had different entrepreneurial businesses that were still in the health and wellness field, just different products and programs throughout that. So that's something I've always just loved. And then several years ago, I saw a huge shift, especially with the uprise of social media. And a lot of people with COVID, with the layoffs, everything like that, people were stressed beyond belief. And I went through my own extreme chronic stress because it just hit me. There was about 10 different variables. I always knew how to manage my own stress very well until everything hit at once. And I became a mother of 2 kids under 2 during COVID without any outside help. And I was still the sole member of my 2 companies. I had no outside help for my businesses. And so I had 2 kids under 2 at home all day while trying to run 2 businesses. And my health, the stress of it all, just and then there were other things going on at the same time as well. There was health issues. I had 4 surgeries within 2 years that were unfortunately emergency type surgeries. And it was just a lot, a death of one of my best friends. So it was just like everything kept stacking against me. And I was like, I'd wake up at 3 a.m. to try to work. I was, it was too much for me. And I just saw firsthand what it did to my physical health, my mental health. I hit complete burnout, and you're useless. And during that time is when all of the light bulbs in my head went on. I said, this is a serious problem, not only obviously for me, but everyone around me. And it just opened my eyes to that area of wellness, because before I'd focused on the other aspects of it, but not really honed in on the one single one that I saw could fix all the other areas in a big way. And it's interesting because it just came out in Forbes in June of this year, so a couple weeks ago, and the stats are that 37% of US adults report being able to do anything when they're stressed. So, and almost 1/3, this was also in the report, almost 1/3 of US adults report feeling so stressed they can't function.
Wow.
So if you think about it, if you just look, if you have 3 people in a room, one of those people is so stressed that they're not even functioning properly. And as you know, stress is not only impacting, our mental health, but stress is one of the biggest problems with your immune system. And when your immune system is down, not only do you get sick, but it's just, it's just all the other physical ailments, blood pressure, cancer, autoimmune disorders, everything just gets triggered when your immune system is down due to chronic stress. And so I started realizing, and I was able to get myself out of my own chronic burnout situation, going down the road and the journey on my own, as well as taking everything I had learned from my past experience in the health and wellness industry. And one of the big things I realized was that if you go to a psychologist or even a doctor, if you say, oh, you're stressed, the answer is yoga, meditation.
Yes.
And I am not knocking those 2 things.
No, but it doesn't fix it always.
But the average person, and I know this because I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of people, and if you say, do you like yoga? Most people, there are a percentage, most people say, not really. Or if you say, do you like meditation? They'll say, I tried it once, it didn't work for me. And so it just kind of, it almost like broke my heart that this is what people think is their option for their stress. And so I wanted to give them other ways and just show them that stress, and I hate saying stress management because it sounds very corporate, but just stress relief and bringing your stress levels to a very manageable, maintainable level is something that is feasible, and it doesn't have to be hard or something that you're not going to enjoy. You can enjoy it, and you can make it just part of your lifestyle, and you'll have at some points in your life, you'll have high stress situations. But if your body's at a more consistent level of stress, you can manage it. If you're at a super high level of stress all the time, one thing can trigger a complete downward spiral.
Yes, I do know that.
So if you have the tools, if you have all the tools, you don't need to use them every single day. But when you start noticing, if you're, paying attention to your body, your stress is going up and up, or something that you have a huge stressor. And usually the biggest stressors, that could be relationship, work issues, financial, a death of a loved one, when that comes crashing down, you could say, okay, now I know what to do, and I can take that and I can get through this. And I think that's, that's the biggest thing, is there is hope. It doesn't have to be what people think, like yoga, meditation. It doesn't have to,
Right.
there are so many other ways, and it's simple. And people are like, I never knew that. And I do workshops around the area on ways to reduce stress and anxiety in more creative, non-traditional approaches. And the people who have come to the seminars, they just they just tell me at the end, thank you, because I did not know that. And I can use these things and I actually enjoy it.
I love what you do because it's so needed. It's so needed, overlooked, and you're right. The typical response is do yoga, meditation, or take this medication because it will fix it as well. And it's all that does is mask it. So I love that you've now found a way to turn this into what you do for a career that, I mean, you're truly making a difference to people. And I'm curious, what is it? Do you work a lot with individuals? Do you work a lot with businesses, or how? I mean, because what you're doing is so impactful. I feel like you need to work with the entire world, which obviously is not feasible all at once, but you got to chip away little by little. Mm-hmm. So is it a lot of workshops or?
Yeah, I do one-on-one coaching.
Okay.
And I also I go to businesses and do workshops within the company with their employees on how to reduce stress, and things like that. I'm also about 1-2 months away I have a book I'm working on, as well as a program that is affordable to everyone, because I know that money is stressful for people and not everyone can afford the one-on-one coaching. And so I'm taking all of my best methods and knowledge and incorporating them in a book and an online program for people to learn, and basically get all of the insights and knowledge that I can offer them.
Mm-hmm. I love that you're writing a book, because after listening to your story, I was going to say, I hope you're going to turn all this into a book. Kendra, I try on this podcast not to let myself get too emotional, but that was quite a journey. That's a lot. That's so heavy to go through, but what a testament to what you've done, that you were able to pull yourself out of that, because that would be a sinking ship for a lot of people, and that you found ways besides yoga and meditation to get yourself out. And speaking from experience, and I know there's lots of other people, when you're in that burnout stage and you're in that low, it feels so hard to dig yourself out. But the fact that you dug yourself out, and now you are just stunning and glowing, and just life radiates out of you. It's beautiful. So I commend you, because that in itself is just lovely. So thank you. And
I appreciate that.
No, it really is. That's why I love hearing everyone's story, because I feel like you can give the best advice in the world, but when you hear what comes behind it, that's when it really sinks in. The fact that your own techniques are what saved you, that makes it so much more impactful than you telling me, go get in a downward dog, Sarah. So we're going to do it. So,
and you never know until you're in that spot.
Right.
How, I could have, because I did. It's funny, because even when I was in my 20s and 30s, before all of this transpired, I would work with clients on stress and relaxation using all of the tools and information I had been taught and I'd learned. And then going through my own, going so far down into the complete burnout, that, and feeling when you feel that, when you've been there, then that's when you can really give good advice and really help people who are at the bottom right there, just rebuild slowly and be just understanding, empathetic. So I kind of look at it as it was one of the hardest points in my life, and it's become the biggest blessing, because I found in what I've been doing for the past 25 years, the area where I can be of most service and help the most amount of people. So it turned out to be a blessing. So
absolutely. And you can see that
the hardest
now.
times can turn out to be the aha moment and basically be your mission.
Absolutely. But when you're in it, you don't see it as the aha moment.
Oh no.
There's no way. Why am I going through this, and am I ever going to get out? But it's always such a beautiful thing to be able to look back on it that way. So I'm curious. What are some practical and effective stress management techniques that the average person could implement?
And I know this is going to sound cliche, and I don't want to use breath work because the same people who usually don't, but just breathing. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be, oh, I'm going to do box breathing. I'm going to do all the numbers. And there's so many forms of breath work. And when it really boils down to it, if you're in a state of fight or flight, you're late, you're in traffic, someone just hit your car, you're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to stop and I'm going to do the blah, blah, blah breath work technique. No.
No.
And so one of the biggest thing is relax your shoulders, breathe, just breathe in and out through your nose. Don't overcomplicate it. There are better breathing techniques. For instance, I can never say it, the physiological sigh. I'm not sure if you've heard of that. That's one of the most effective breathwork techniques to immediately reduce stress and anxiety. And it's very simple. You take one breath in through your nose, then you take one more short one, and then out. So, and the breaths through your nose are quick. And then it's a full exhale through. And they've done a lot of studies on the most effective. They hooked people up to all of the electrodes and whatever they do, electrodes. And they found that is a fastest breathing technique to get you out of that fight or flight stressed response. But if you can't remember the physiological sigh, which is, then just breathe, slow down your body, relax your shoulders. Most people carry the tension in their shoulders.
Yes.
And especially, I still catch myself when I'm at work at my computer, I get tense. And if I get an email, then I'm like, no, and your whole body tenses up.
Yep.
And that's your body's response to the stress. And then it will manifest in increasing the stress throughout your whole body. So if you can just remember, relax your jaws, relax your shoulders. You can even, if you're sitting at your office, just do a little head roll, drop your shoulders, and just breathe in out through your nose and mouth slowly. Let your stomach push out. And you can do that anywhere. And that's something that's very easy to remember. No. So it's a very simple one that can, another thing is, movement. Movement is one of the number one ways that you can get out of that stressed flight or flight response. And if you're not able to get outside and go take a nature walk, because I know, especially entrepreneurs, we're not like, oh, I'm stressed. Oh, I have 20 minutes to go outside and take a nature walk, especially in the winter, if you're live in the snow. But you can stand up and do some jumping jacks. And that actually, things like that have for 1 minute, you can do push-ups. If you don't like that kind of stuff, or if you're in a work suit or work outfit, do some simple stretches for 1-2 minutes. And that is actually enough to lower the stress and get you out of that stress loop that you might be in. And it's simple.
And that's what I love about it, is it's simple and that's doable, because I'll be honest, as an entrepreneur, or just as a person, I'm going to throw out not even entrepreneur, a lot of techniques that are put out there, and I honor the people that provide them. I'm not knocking it, but a lot of times I'll read it or listen to it, but it's so complicated, and I almost feel like it's such a list. It's not practical for when you are in the middle of answering 3,000 emails and planning your podcast and writing a book. It's not practical to do that. Whereas what you said just as we were talking, and I really could feel it. I mean, I really could feel myself slowing down, and I love this part because I am the worst. I always joke when I do treat myself. I get a massage about once a month, and I always joke with her. She's always like, I can tell if it's been stressful week or not, because I carry it all. I carry it right there, but it's because I do that.
Yep.
But, just those little things I think can make such a big difference.
It really does. And I know that, like, even just and they have, I love science, and I love studies, like, actual legit studies, where no one benefits from the studies. But nature, being out in nature, being around plants, that really reduces stress. And so simply having, and they've done studies on simply having a plant. I have plants. I have lots of plants.
You do.
But just simply having a plant in your office or the place that you're at and looking at it can subconsciously reduces the stress in your body, as well as, all the oxygen, things that happen because of the plant. And I even recommend for people, so have a plant wherever you're at, that you can look at, and it will, if you look at it, especially when you're stressed out or when you're on a phone call, it will start helping you relax. And having one item or maybe a picture that means something to you, that's special, that brings you into more calm state. So if you're at your desk, you're stressed out, you have a plant that's helping you a little bit, and you have one single object or item that just fills you with joy and peace. And just those little things, you're not doing anything, you're not spending any more time out of your day, but those little things are triggers to help you relax and bring more peace and calmness into your life.
I love that. No, I definitely can understand that and see that. I love plants. I am realizing with you saying that, though, I have them all behind me in my office, so I need to place them more where I see them. I work from home, and right by my computer is a great big window that looks outside, and I live on a farm, and so for me, I will say this does work for me, is I look out and I see the trees and everything, and then typically I can see animals as well. And so that no matter what kind of conversation I'm on, I can feel myself building up, but I look out that window and it just kind of brings it all down. And I always think, I'm on some pretty stressful conversations, and I think if these people could see that I'm gazing at cows right now, they would probably think either she's crazy or maybe that lady's got it figured out because she's able to maintain calm on this conversation. But I can see why that would be so effective for anybody.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I was going to say, and this is something that people are like, oh, I didn't realize that one. Even let's say you're on a work call or you're listening to an audiobook, doodling, just mindless doodling, actually they've done has shown to reduce your stress and anxiety. And the interesting thing is, when they were doing research on it, people who were doodling while listening to a conversation actually retained more information than those who were just sitting listening.
Wow.
So it actually, and some teachers actually implement this in the classroom. They say, they're lecturing, they say, please doodle.
Wow.
Just mindless doodling, you retain more information of what you're listening to, which is actually really fascinating. So it serves both purposes.
Yeah. I like
doodle
that. Yeah.
While, yeah. So just things like that. It's just, or like, for instance, eating. Obviously, what you eat, if you're eating highly processed food, if you're eating bad foods, that will put more stress in your body, and your stress response won't be as good. But just the simple fact of, think about most people when they eat, especially if you're a busy entrepreneur, you're just scarfing down food, even if it's a salad, your stomach's tight, your body's tense, you're multitasking. What do you think that food is trying to digest and go into your body? And just by simply relaxing your body, enjoying your food, eating till 80% fullness, and just taking 15, even 10 minutes to do that, it actually will relieve digestive issues. It'll help the food actually get through your body more easily. And just that, and you actually, everyone who I've said, don't change your diet. I was testing a while back. I was testing with a few people. I said, don't change your diet. All I want you to do is be in a calm state when you eat, no crazy distractions for 10, 15 minutes, and just eat until you're 80% full and just enjoy your meal. And they all lost weight.
Wow. Really?
And I was not telling them how to eat. I mean, of course, I do tell people how to eat if they want to lose weight.
Sure.
But I was just curious. I'd eat how you normally eat, but here's what I want you to do. Eat in a relaxed, calm state, relax your stomach, and your mind, and just eat until 80% completion or until 80% fullness. And yeah, they all lost weight.
Wow.
Because when we're in a nervous, tense mode, we overeat, and our digestion system's not able to work properly. We have stomach issues, that kind of thing. So it's just amazing what creating, like I call it creating calmness, but when you add creating like calmness elements to different aspects of your life, it just, your whole body starts shifting and changing. And it's really actually, it's an amazing thing to experience and to see in other people.
I can imagine. And, for people to notice a big difference, because yes, I mean, I can do it once and feel a difference. Is it just a matter of creating that habit of just doing it repeatedly to really start noticing a big shift? I don't know if I'm saying this right, but I'm just thinking of, for example, like your situation when you were describing your story. I'm sure, you were practicing a lot of these techniques, and for you, was it just a matter of doing it over and over and just reprogramming yourself to do this, that you really started noticing, you pulling yourself out of that hole and bringing yourself out of that stress state?
Yeah, it's little by little. Now,
Yeah.
certain things like the breathing, or if you do a workout, you'll notice those immediately,
Mm-hmm.
the benefits to it.
Yeah.
But it's the little things, and it's I don't know if you've heard of habit stacking
Mm-hmm.
before. Okay, so I kind of call it like relaxation stacking. You add more like relaxation elements to things you're already doing. And I
Mm-hmm.
always start with sleep. If you're not sleeping well, everything else comes crashing down.
Yes.
So when I'm working with people, I said, okay, we try to optimize their sleep, and I try to really help them there. And then we go through all the other aspects of what they're doing. I don't put people on diets, because diets typically stress people out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're stressed out, or if you're doing a boot camp workout or a workout that you don't enjoy, those are going to send your body even into more of a spiral, a stress spiral. So it's about optimizing sleep. It's about finding, okay, what exercises and physical movement activities do you enjoy? And how can we add those to your life, even if it's 10, 15 minutes? It doesn't have to be 1 hour every single day. And we just start small. You start small, little by little, but in everything, you have to make it conscious.
Mm-hmm.
You stack it into where you can, and it just becomes easier. Or even something as simple as, let's say you say, I'm going to watch TV at night because it helps me relax. Well, what if you could add 1 or 2 more relaxing elements to that 30 minutes of TV to put you in an even more relaxed state? You're already watching TV, so maybe you can put like a neck warmer or a neck massager on your back while you're watching TV. Maybe you can cuddle. Maybe you can like just have a really nice beverage. So you just took your relaxation from maybe a 5 out of 10 relaxation to a 10 out of 10.
Oh.
Just by adding more elements to it, which puts you in an even more like enjoyable
Mm-hmm.
space, things like that. So yeah, it's kind of about just making tweaks and modifications slowly, nothing too crazy, in everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
And one example too, that I use is, I don't do this every day because I kind of forget. But when you're having a day, you're really stressed out, you need to keep your levels a little lower. Just something as like adding like habit stacking. Most people wash their hands probably 15 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you go to the bathroom, when you're cooking, that kind of thing. And one thing you can do is, when you're having a really stressful day, say, okay, today, every time I wash my hands, that is my cue to start breathing deep, relax my shoulders, close my eyes, and feel the water on my hands, and remind myself I am calm, and just use that 30 seconds as a kind of a reprogramming and resetting your nervous system and relaxing. And imagine if you can do that 15 times in a day.
Wow.
You're not taking any time out of your day.
No.
It's that things like that. It's just a quick ad, especially on the stressful day. Say, great, I'm going to use this 30 seconds to really relax and remind myself to just enjoy life.
Yeah.
And just feel things, and just set your body into a more peaceful state.
I love that you are able to add all this without adding a lot into the day. I love that, because I think that's what scares people off when they think about working and changing behaviors and adding in calm, is they think, I don't have enough hours in the day. I don't have that extra 2 hours that it's going to take to meditate, do yoga, walk, but what you're talking about is working with what you already have. And that's such an easier and less intimidating place to start rather than thinking, okay, how am I going to find an extra 2 hours when I already don't have any?
Yeah.
I think that's what's so lovely about your approach. I love it. And it kind of leads me into the next question. Um, for business owners and entrepreneurs struggling to maintain a work-life balance, what advice would you offer? How can they find harmony between their professional and personal lives? Because as a society, I think we're so programmed to believe, you're successful with the more output, work yourself to the bone, and that makes you successful, when it doesn't. It leads to burnout. But,
Yeah.
we don't always talk about that work-life balance and how important that is.
That is a hard one. And it took me a while to figure that one out when I had 2 young kids while trying to run my businesses. And I didn't have, like I said, I didn't have help. I didn't have outside help for the kids, and I didn't have anyone else on my team for my businesses. I was a sole team member for everything. And so I commiserate with so many, like, especially like working parents, especially stay-at-home working parents with everything going on. It's really hard. And I feel that social media has almost made it worse, because we see people,
Yes.
I'm an entrepreneur, and they have these big companies, and they always look perfect, and their houses are always spectacular, and they're always posting pictures of their wonderful dinners that they're cooking. And meanwhile, I'm sitting there, still in my pajamas, and my house is a mess, and I've just spent 3 hours on tech support, and I just feel like I'm an epic failure. And I had to learn that, just kind of, you have to, at the end of the day, because as entrepreneurs, our to-do list never ends. It just keeps going and going, and you check a few things off, and you're like, great, I checked off 3 things, and I still have 30 things left. And just at the end of the day, instead of thinking about the stuff you didn't get done, if you can even write it down, say, these are the things I accomplished today. And writing that down, or even just making a voice memo of the things that you accomplished today, that and not, I'm not only talking about like your business life. You could say, well, here's what I accomplished work-wise, but say, I took a wonderful walk with my kids today after dinner, and my daughter found a little ladybug. Just things like that. And it's just like, you may have not made tons of money, and you may have not cleaned every part of the house, and maybe you even just did chicken nuggets for dinner because you were so tired and exhausted. There are still so many wonderful things that you did accomplish. And it's not like, when I say accomplish, it's the little things. That story with your kids, or that conversation that took 2 hours out of your day with a friend who is struggling with something. That is what matters. It's people that matter. And I know that I used to be, I need to make money at my business. And once you take that out of your mindset, and you keep your mind on the mission, and if your mission is to help people, you don't have to help. I think as entrepreneurs, we want to help millions, and we feel that we're not successful unless we're making X amount of dollars and helping X amount of people. And if you just really think about it, what is so horrible if we help one person change their life? If we can make a difference in one life, or 2 lives, or 5 lives, or 12 lives, it doesn't have to be some huge mass thing. Change. If you can change a few lives, what a gift. You are doing your part. You are doing what you were put on this earth to do. And that is what actually makes you feel more fulfilled, is just realizing you don't have to help millions. Just focus on your mission and helping the people that you can. And when you do that, when you start focusing on just helping a few people, what happens is it actually becomes a ripple effect. And then all of a sudden you get a random email from someone you've never met, and they say, your podcast changed my life. I was depressed and I was at my end, and your podcast changed my life. Or your Instagram post that maybe I only got 3 likes on, but maybe one person saw it, and then they message you and say, I was going through a lot and that really helped. So those are it's the little things. It's the little things. And just remembering that, and that is what will help with that like work-life balance is to remember the little things and the things that really matter in life.
It's so very true, and such a beautiful way that you said it. But it's
Oh.
exactly, and it's a shift that we all need to make in how we look at things. And you're right, social media has definitely made all of this so much worse. It really has. But
Hmm.
those aren't the things that matter. They really aren't. And I'm curious because obviously hearing your story about having two little ones, and I know there's a lot of moms out there that work, they face that pressure where they feel like they have to do it all, especially thanks to social media where you see the moms that have the perfectly dressed kids and the perfect house at
Hmm.
all times, and they have to juggle work, home, all the responsibilities, you know, and you kind of touched on that, and I would say it does relate to what you just said, but also what tips do you have for them to kind of manage those expectations? I mean, because a lot of times it's those expectations that we place on ourselves that are the worst. But what is your, you have such beautiful answers for all of this. I'm just curious, what do you feel like is helpful for them?
I think it's really focusing on what matters to you and your kids the most.
Mm-hmm.
It's that are I give up sometimes cleaning. The house is a mess, but for instance, my office always needs to be clean. And I like my bedroom to be clean. The rest of the house might look like a tornado ran through it. And but it's just like, okay, those are priorities for me, is to keep my office clean, my work
Mm-hmm.
environment clean, and the bedroom so I can sleep peacefully at night. And yes, I chip away at the rest of the house when I'm able. And it's also sometimes I give them cereal, but I try to give them healthy cereal sometimes, but sometimes I'm so tired to cooking every meal from them from scratch all the time, and you just give yourself grace. You say a priority is eating with my family at night together. And if it's whatever, if we have to do takeout in order to do that together, that's fine. And it's just like, what things are your priorities and what things really don't matter at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would love to have a clean house all the time, but that's not that can wait until they're a few years
Right.
older and they're able to dress themselves. So there's stages, and just understanding, okay, what things are really important for me at this stage. And then as the children get a little older, then you kind of rewire that and say, okay, now at this stage, what things are really important. And if you just keep your eyes on what the important things are, the means really don't matter.
Mm-hmm. No, it's very true. And I wish I had had that advice when my kids were little, because it's so hard. It's so easy to fall into that trap of, feeling like you see what everybody else is doing and you think, well, I should be able to do all that too. And it's so hard. And a lot of those things just really don't matter at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah,
At
exactly.
all. And I'm curious because you are a very creative person, and I can see where you've integrated that into so many aspects of your life. How do you what do you feel like creative outlets and projects, how do those contribute to overall health, well-being, and joy?
Oh, thanks for asking. Yeah. So I love doing creative
Yeah,
things,
I
and
can
it can
tell.
be music, it could be acting, it can be drawing. Recently, a few years back when I was going through all this, I had knee surgery and then I had my baby. So I had all these surgeries and I couldn't, hiking and walking has always been like that has been where I relax and
Hmm.
decompress. And I couldn't because of my surgery. So I was stuck and I'm like, what can I do? And you have to be creative. I'm like, what can I do? Because I feel like I'm losing my mind. And I started getting into acrylic painting.
Mm.
Abstract. I can't draw a tree to save my life. But just abstract painting. And I was like, this is fun. And it gets out my emotions and my thoughts. And it keeps me just from feeling like tense and stifled. And I started painting every night, painting and painting, and I actually
Wow.
sold a few. I wasn't trying
Wow.
to. I posted them. I'm like looking at my painting, and I had a few people say, "Can I buy one?" Not trying to be a painter, not trying to get into the art world, but it's things like that. It's be I mean, they've done for the past, I don't know, hundreds of years, they've done studies on creative endeavors. It could be music, it could be dancing, it could be art, painting, building with Legos. It really doesn't have to be any particular thing. Not only does it promote stress reduction significantly, but it actually helps you become more creative, and it boosts your memory, your cognitive abilities. So you actually do better at work. And I know a lot of people feel selfish. They're like, oh, I don't have
Yes.
time to do, I don't have time to do, like, make pottery or whatever it is that you enjoy. And I always tell people it could be photography. I give like clients a list of, a couple dozen things, and I tell them, hey, circle the 5 things that just stand out to you and seem fun. And then I have them say, okay, no, I want you to try the first one. And then if you don't like it, give it like a week, then try the second one. You will find something that just clicks. And the most fun part is when you start doing creative things, you actually learn about yourself. And you wouldn't believe how many people started tapping into their creative side, and they are brilliant writers. They are brilliant artists. And it just like kind of just makes me all warm and fuzzy inside, because I'm just like astounded by these people who they're like, I'm not creative. I don't have any artistic abilities. And they come out with something that's brilliant and amazing. And just knowing that not only is it helping your stress levels, but it's also helping your cognitive abilities and your mental and physical health. So it's literally doing all across the board. And I have, just because I love it, I've written 2 kids books, and I didn't know how to write a book. And so I've written 2 kids books. I created a kids superhero interactive card game, and there's stories on each card. So it's actually it's on Amazon right now, both the book and the game. And I wrote and recorded a full-length music album. And I love having fun in life.
Wow.
So things that call out to me at certain times, I'm like, I want to do this, and I do. And yes, their work and their effort, but I gained so much out of just starting those projects. And
I can imagine.
it's just fun. And I just got word that my book's going to be in the local library. They just asked if I could get it there and start doing book readings and just things like that. So I just encourage everyone to, even if you say, oh, I'm not a writer, I'm not an artist, I don't like gardening. Okay, try, see what calls to you, and it will completely change your life. And it just makes you feel like there's something, just it brings the spark and vibrancy out of you. Everyone who does something creative, there's a spark and this just vibrant energy that comes out of them. And it gets more and more when you do that. So if you're ever feeling dull and like life just kind of is boring, you're just kind of feeling just blah, try something creative. And the coolest thing is anything, depending on what the creative thing is, they make amazing gifts.
Ooh.
There is nothing more like heartwarming when someone like gives you a gift that they handmade, or maybe it's a poem, or something that you made for them. That is the ultimate gift, and it's kind of your legacy too. If you start drawing your kids, their kids, like these, you can put them in a book, and you don't have to sell them. You don't have to sell your poems. You don't have to sell your writings, but this is something that is part of you that you created, and that is yours and your kids and your grandkids forever. And it's a beautiful thing. So I definitely encourage everyone to tap into their creative side and just to have fun with different creative outlets.
Absolutely. And I'm curious, because I know that I have a lot of listeners that have kids. First of all, your children's book, what is the name? Or you wrote 2, so what are the titles?
Well, the newest book, the other one was years ago. And that was Rocky, The Adventures of Rocky, the dog. The newest one I released last year, and it's called Oogleman, the Superhero Dragon.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, so it's about, I created one of my businesses called Fit Heroes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a passion project that I started to help kids boost their physical and mental health and their self-esteem. And through that, I did the game, and it's kind of educational entertainment. And the book Oogleman, the Superhero Dragon, is the first book in that series.
That's amazing. And what is the name of the game? It's called
called Fit Heroes.
Fit Heroes. Okay.
Yeah.
And
so if you just,
wow.
Yeah, and I have the website up and stuff too, but yeah, I'm going to be doing more with that and hoping to actually do a Fit Heroes app in the near future with that. So
Wow.
kids have, they have that at their accessibility no matter what.
That is so needed these days. What you're doing for kids, because the society is getting harder and harder for kids,
It
especially with
is.
social media. So
And
you're
if you
you're
help them when they're young,
yep,
it
makes a big
continues.
difference. You my dear are tackling two very different but such needed areas in life, and that's amazing. Yeah, sorry, I'm left a little speechless, but I think it's awesome. I think it's amazing that you've found a way, to turn your challenging time into something so beautiful that you're helping people in such a huge way now. It's amazing, absolutely.
Thank you. And for you, you do so much. And just you do. And my favorite part is from what I know about you is just your heart
Hmm.
and your desire to help people. And that is just it. I just remember just hearing your story and listening to some of your podcasts and I was just like, wow, this person is so genuine. And it's the beautiful thing is it just reminds you that there are good, kind, genuine people in the world. And sometimes that's all we need to do is just hear someone
Yep.
who we just, you know, that's what we need in life is to realize that there are great people out there helping,
Mm-hmm.
giving, you know.
It's
That's what
true.
that's what life
I,
is about.
I couldn't agree at more. And your reminder, see, I told you this episode, it's going to be selfish. It's helping me. It's helping me. But honestly, what you said about helping people and just focusing, because I have a heart to help people. You did figure that part out about me. I do. I'm driven by it. I love it. It's just, and it comes out of a time of darkness. But I get so caught up in feeling like I have to help so many that I spin in circles trying to do it all, right? And I'm not going to turn this episode into
No,
my therapy
I love
session,
you.
but I get so caught up in feeling like I got to help everyone with the podcast and this and the business, and then I spin in circles and I don't help anybody. Instead, I need to focus on, even if I just help one person a day, you are completely right on with that. And even if it's just a phone conversation with somebody that just needed a friend, you're right. You are completely right, because it just makes a world of difference. And that's what we're on the earth to do. And
Mhm.
that to me is more valuable than any amount of dollars that you could ever earn. And
Mm.
I am gonna take that to heart and remember that, because that's very helpful. And I think a lot of people need to hear that, because I think when you are somebody that's driven to help people, sometimes you almost punish yourself with it because you feel like I've got to help everybody or I'm failing, when that's not
Yeah.
the case. It could just be one person that you impacted that day, and that's all you need. That's all you need.
Mhm.
So thank you.
Oh, of
Thank you for that
course.
reminder. I really, I love
And we
that.
don't remember a lot of times a ripple effect.
No.
You help one person, that person can like they ripple it back
Mm-hmm.
when they, it's even just like saying hi and being friendly and nice
Mm-hmm.
to the cashier. It's the ripple effect, and that is what creates a less stress environment. That's what
Yes.
creates happiness and more joyful, fulfilled people, is just getting that rolling. So even though you might say I only impacted one person, that one person may impact 12, and those 12 people,
Absolutely.
and so you will just by impacting one person, you will impact thousands. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something to always remember as well.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you can't see it, just know
No,
it. Just know
but
it.
just knowing it makes such a big
Yeah.
difference. It really does. I could go on with you for days, so I've got to really like be focused on what I'm going to talk, because I just, you have so many valuable things to share. I absolutely love it, and I feel like what you are sharing today is going to resonate with so many people, because I know I'm not alone in how I feel. I know there's so many people in the same situation, that just are not finding the solutions with just yoga. And I love yoga. I'll be honest. I actually, if you ask me, do you like yoga? I do like it. I do like meditation, but it's not the fix for me, for example. It's
Yeah.
just they're nice things to do and I love them, but it's not it's just not the overall fix for me in particular. So that's why I love what you shared. So I'm curious, and you've gone into a lot of this already. What would you say? What are some from your top recommendations for individuals looking to create more calmness in their lives, especially in today's fast-paced world? It's a
I
million
would say,
dollar question.
yeah, I would say it's the biggest thing, and it's more of my background is more of that, like the kind of the well-being wellness area. So I'll kind of focus more on that side of things. Is just start optimizing your sleep, start optimizing your movement and fitness. And like I said, that usually people are like, oh, I have to work out. And I say, just do movements that you enjoy. I love walking and hiking. I hate doing normal cardio. I hate boot camp classes. So guess what? I don't do it. There's and it's food. It's like food too. Um, if you don't like eating broccoli, then don't. There's so many other vegetables out there. And so so don't stop listening to all the noise on social media from all the health experts. Obviously some have a lot of credibility, but if that's not your jam, find something that is. And so if you could just go through and make fine-tuned tweaks, you don't have to uproot. The more you change and do like a 180, it's in these aspects, it's going to create more stress in your life. So you start with, okay, how am I eating? What are some little tweaks I can do just to make it a little better? And you start there. What are some ways to add a little more physical activity into my everyday? Cool. You start there. What are ways I think loneliness is a huge epidemic. And most people, a majority, like all the research coming out is saying a majority. So over 50% of people are feeling lonely at all times. And these are people who are even married, who have people around them. And loneliness isn't about being around people. It's about feeling seen, feeling heard, and actually having a connection. And so one of the other, like another element is be around people who you connect with and can truly be yourself around. And you go through the different areas of well-being and you just start making little modifications into your normal life, as well as implementing the relaxation techniques that do work for you and you enjoy doing. And slowly but surely, all of a sudden, you're still like, oh, okay, it's clicking. And you realize, oh, I don't like this part. Cool. Well, how can we tweak and modify it? No, this is your life. This is your body. And you don't have to, if you don't like doing something, don't do it. You can, just find what works for you. Every person is totally different. And just start slowly modifying all the areas of your work life, or like at work. What can you do to make work a more pleasant experience? So you just start going through all the aspects, and before you know it, everything changes. Everything changes, and you haven't done a huge overhaul. It's not about the overhauls. It's about finding what works out for you and doing everything in a way that is healthy, but also optimizing and making you just better, feeling like a better human and just feeling amazing. And that's really what it boils down to, is just you just look inside yourself and learn and just say, great, what are these little changes I can do that will make a huge difference?
I love that. And that's what makes it feel so much more attainable and doable. It does. And one thing, and I know we haven't discussed this, and I hope it's okay to ask, but you've brought this up several times, is optimizing sleep. And I know I'm not alone. For a lot of people, it's hard. Sleep is definitely not always the easiest for a lot of people. I know many people struggle with it. Is there anything that you can suggest for people to optimize sleep? Because I know terrible sleep is at the root. I know when I don't get a good night's sleep, stay away from me. The whole world feels overwhelming. I want to cry all day. There's those days, but I've never, I don't know. You've mentioned it a lot, so I'm just curious if you have any words of wisdom around that.
And yeah, that's another thing. It's and a lot of people aren't even aware, is that, like, for instance, caffeine, that it can stay in your body for up to 12 hours. And I know personally, I'm sensitive to caffeine. I have 1 cup a day. Also, delaying coffee 1 to 1.5 hours after you wake up will actually help, so you don't get that crash at 2 o'clock and then need another cup of coffee. Just delaying it will actually improve your energy level, so you don't need more. And I'm not, people are like, no, I need my caffeine, I need my coffee. That's fine, but just be aware that it can stay in your body and not allow you to fall asleep for 12 hours. So try to cut it off before 12 noon if possible. And things like, alcohol, everyone is like, oh, I'll just have a nightcap at night. I fall asleep great when I do that. It affects the second part of your sleep. So a lot of people, they fall asleep quick. And then for that second part, they wake up or they don't get a deep sleep. So you wake up not feeling great. And I'm not saying you can't have your beverage. It's just being aware. It's being aware that, or, this is how it's going to do. So maybe I'll have a drink at 4 o'clock. And then by 6 o'clock, have water and electrolytes, and, so it won't affect your sleep. It's also try not to eat several hours before, 3 hours before you go to sleep. Like there's just different things, and try to go to bed at the same time every night, even on the weekends. I know that's like impossible for a lot of people. But just, and just 30 minutes before bed, for instance, have a sleep routine. It could be, I brush my teeth, I wash my face, I read a book. Whatever it is, if it's psychologically it's programmed in you, and it'll trigger your body to say, okay, this is what I do before bed. This is how I prep to go to sleep. Now it's time to sleep. If you're doing different things every night, it's your mind subconsciously, your mind is like, oh, what's going on? Wait, should I sleep? Should I not sleep? What's coming next? So just 30 minutes, just do 30 minutes of the same thing before bed every night. And I do also like progressive muscle relaxation, which is a technique on relaxing your body. There's different things you can do that I teach people that you can do before bed to put you in a more calm state. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of different areas on sleep, on how to optimize that. But just knowing that if you're getting a good night's sleep, everything like your appetite, your cravings, your energy levels, like everything, your immune system will change the next day. So if you do not get adequate sleep, at least you can prepare and say, I did not sleep well, so I am probably going to crave junk food. And there's hormones and chemicals in your body that are released from not getting enough sleep. So just being aware is, if you're aware, you can say that I'm probably going to be lethargic. My brain's not going to work that great. So what can I do to make sure tonight I get a good night's sleep? And just being aware. And I know, especially for females, when you hit 40, 50s, 60s, your hormones can really mess your sleep up. And you may do everything perfectly, and you still may get a horrible night's sleep because of your hormones. And it is what it is, and try not to be frustrated about it, because it's only going to make you not sleep even more. And just accepting, hey, some days it's going to be like this, and that's okay. And I'm going to do everything I can to do my best and do my part to make sure that I'm at least doing everything I can to make it a more restful, peaceful, deep sleep.
I know that was a complex question, but thank you. That was so helpful, because I know that is a struggle for so many people. And
yeah.
Those are some amazing tips. And Kendra, I just want to thank you. You are just amazing. You are you're so insightful, but everything that you present is just, it feels doable, and it doesn't feel intimidating or scary or I don't know. I really mean it. I think the entire world needs you, and I'm so glad to know that you exist. I'm so happy. I love Vic. I owe him forever for connecting us, because you're amazing, and I feel like so many people are going to get a lot out of this. And I'd love to know, if people want to find out more about you, or possibly work with you as a client, or just find out what you're doing and these amazing projects that you have lined up, how would they find out about you? Or where do they go?
I have a website, kendrakessel.com.
Okay.
And on social media, it's just pretty much Kendra Kessel at all the different social medias.
Okay.
And I have a lot of, I recently moved to a new state. And so it's been, kind of, I had to pause things a little bit on, I have a podcast that's actually, I have 11 episodes out on my podcast at this current time. And I have more that are coming out. So because I recently moved, I'm still kind of getting used to that, and just, just kind of starting over in that area. Most of my programs, and I'm currently doing the coaching programs and the workshops and seminars, and the programs and the book should be out probably in the next several months. So by, late 2024.
Wow.
But I keep everything on my social medias
Okay.
and on the website, so you can always go there and get all the updates.
And for your podcast, because you were sharing with me what you do, it sounds amazing. What is the name of your podcast and where could we find it?
It's called Creating Calmness.
Creating Calmness. Okay.
Yeah, with Kendra Kessel.
Okay. Oh, I'm going to be looking those up. I'll be honest, because it's just calming speaking with you. So I can only imagine with you, leading a podcast and telling a story. It must just be absolutely amazing. So
Thank you.
yeah,
You're so sweet.
I love it. So thank you. And I have taken up so much of your time, but I really appreciate you. I am just so grateful that you just came on today and shared such life-changing strategies, and it was just done from the heart. So I thank you so much, and I'm just so excited for people to listen to you and hear all these amazing strategies that they can so easily put into their own lives. So thank you so much, Kendra.
Thank you as well. Such a privilege and honor to be here and speak with you today.
Absolutely.
Thank you again.
Of course. And I hope for all of you listening, I hope you are all feeling as inspired as I am. Just hearing Kendra's incredible story and how she has turned that into just the repelling force behind what she does today. And it just was amazing. Absolutely incredible. All of your insights into health and wellness and relaxation. I was blown away. So thank you. And just remember, whether you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, or someone juggling the demands of work and family, taking care of your mental and physical health is paramount. Incorporating simple stress management techniques, finding creative outlets, and striving for a balanced life can make a world of difference. And today, Kendra has reminded us that calmness, joy, and fulfillment are within our reach, even in the busiest of times. So let's all take her advice to heart and start implementing these valuable practices into our lives. Thank you all for joining us today on Business Perfect Formula. Stay tuned for more episodes filled with insights and inspiration to help you thrive in both your professional and personal lives. Until next time, take care of yourselves, embrace creativity, and continue to strive for balance and wellness.